It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Ooh, this is going to be a thinky show. Some shows are drinky, some shows are thinky. Why? Because we got big thinkers on. Malik and Stacey Higginbotham. They work together at GigaOM. They're two of the best tech journalists out there. We'll talk about everything going on in tech today, including a farewell to Pebble. What happened? Maybe you can explain, huh? And a whole lot more. This Week in Tech coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 591, recorded Sunday, December 4th, 2016. Broactive. This Week in Tech is brought to you by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting software. It's giving thousands of freelancers and small businesses the tools to save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/twit. And by IT Pro TV, the easy, entertaining approach to online IT training. For a free 7-day trial and 30% off the life of your account, go to itpro.tv/twit and use the code TWIT30. And now through December 31st, 2016, if you purchase a premium annual subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months added to your first year. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum Plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/twit2. And by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it, right from your desk. To get my special offer, go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter TWIT. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we get together with some of the smartest people in tech journalism, and we talk about what's going on. It's all context all the time. And I have two of my favorite perspicuous context manglers here. How do you like that, Stacey Higginbotham?
I was curious where you were going with that.
IoTpodcast.com. Stacey on IoT, a regular on This Week in Google. Always a thrill to have you on from Austin, Texas. And you might know our next guest. I think you worked with him for a little while. Malik is here from San Francisco. Man behind GigaOM. He's now an investor and a blogger at ohm.co and Pico. This is something new. What is pi.co?
Oh, pi.co is series of interviews I do with people I find interesting.
Oh, I have seen this. Yeah, I love Pico.
I don't update it very often, you know.
You love the this .co.
Yeah, man. I love Colombia.
Now, it's Colombia.
That's right.
So it's not .co.uk, it's .co,
just
Colombia.
.co, yeah.
I need to do a few of those. It's one better than .com. A little bit short.
Exactly.
You two worked together at GigaOM. Stacey was your editor briefly.
I was. Well, Ohm was like my mentor for forever. He's, let's see, 8 years old?
Wow. Yeah, more than that, actually.
I still call him when I need help.
Did you started as a journalist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Magazine writer?
No, Newswire.
Newswire. Like Associated Press, Reuters, that kind of thing?
No. It's like newspaper, newswires, and then went to weekly publications and then got to the U.S. and it was Financial Newswire, which is the Nikkei's Financial Newswire. And then was one of the first people to sign on to the .com revolution before it was hip and cool to be .com reporters.
Well, I remember reading you first, I think, in Tony Perkins' Red Herring.
I was, way before that, I was writing for Forbes and Forbes.com.
Interesting.
And before that, Nikkei, and before that, publications you've never heard of.
Business 2.0. In 2001, you created GigaOM, and you had a good run with it. But then it just disappeared.
In March 2015.
Sad. Sad. And that's when Stacey was out of work.
No, I think that was the next evolution in Stacey's quest to dominate the world of IoT.
I completely agree, and we've become big fans of Stacey. She joined Twig about 6 months ago and is a really wonderful contributor to our show. She's good not just in writing; she's good on the air. You know, as are you, Om.
I think not as good as Stacey though.
Okay, you guys are like A, making me blush, and B, we're not adding any value here.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know what? I hate it when podcasts just do that. Right? They're not. We're here to help people understand the modern world. For instance,
we got to focus.
Silicon Valley, it's got an empathy vacuum.
Okay, before we go there, how did you get that Microsoft computer?
Oh, you like my computer?
Yeah, how did you get it?
I bought it, dude. I bought it. I went out.
I can't get it.
You didn't buy it soon enough. I bought it when they announced it, and
now it's out of production?
Yeah, right. Could be. No, I think the deal with it, this is the Surface Studio, not a cheap computer. This is the base model, which was $3,000 for kind of a low end, because really it is a laptop. That's what this little box underneath is, with the best screen you ever, 28-inch, super high-res, 4,500 by 3,000 screen. I mean, it's just a gorgeous screen, and you can mess with it. You can do stuff like that. It's really, it feels like a giant iPad is what it feels like.
I think it's your dream come true computer.
It kind of is. Look at this. This kind of like, I feel like Shepard Smith on Fox News with my little giant tablet.
Screen. I remember seeing you back in the day in Screensavers, the real one.
Yeah.
And then you had that
wait a
computer.
minute. The real one?
I mean, like version 1.
Yeah, thank you. 1.0. Not the real one, the first one.
That's when I became your big fan.
Oh,
so
thank you.
For me, that's the real one, right?
Yeah.
And you had that computer embedded in your table, remember?
Yeah.
And so it's seems like it's come back.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. This could be embedded in a table. I kind of like it having like this.
Chris Borrello, oh my God. Is he still working on podcasts and stuff?
No, I don't think so. He's the locker gnome, and he's kind of, I don't know what he's doing. The last time I checked, he had a live stream. But now I think if I go to lockergnome.com, it's kind of like a Pinterest for geeks. I'm not sure what he's really doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Chris. And, he's always been really good at using social and streaming to do stuff ever since Tech TV. One of the best things about Tech TV is the diaspora. And I'm sure this is exactly true of GigaOM as well. Afterwards, everybody kind of brought that ethos out into the world, and it was good.
I hope so. I think, Stacey's doing her thing.
Yep.
I am. And I think you're going to see some more stuff coming up soon. So not just from me, but from others.
Nice. Well, we know Matthew's doing great. He's over at Fortune. A lot of people went to Fortune initially. I know you did, Stacey.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
6 of us.
6.
Matthew, Jeff, John Roberts, Katie Fehrenbacher, Barb Darrow, Jonathan Vanian, and then me.
And you. And then Yanko went to Variety, where he's doing a lot of great stuff. Yanko Reckers. Am I saying his name right? Yanko Reckers?
Yanko Rutgers. And then Kevin is with me on the show, and then
Kevin
Google.
Tuffle. Yep.
Then Kevin Fitchard went to another company. Derek Harris went to a company. I'm trying to think. Who else did we have?
But I think when you have, go ahead.
I was going to say Biz went to Business Insider, where she's doing great stuff. And then Sina is doing all kinds of cool stuff, too.
Freelancing, and she's working with TechCrunch a little bit, and MIT Tech Review and stuff. So everybody's out there.
I think, I'm thinking about, I just saw a profile of Jessica Lesson in The Information in the New York Times, I think, right?
No, it's CJR.
That's right, Columbia Journalism Review. That's right. Celebrating how well she's doing, how well The Information is doing. And I think that this is an interesting model for the future of hardcore news, hardcore information. She's got a paywall, an expensive $400 a year paywall, which I pay for.
It's worth it.
And I think it is worth it. And apparently their subscriptions have doubled in the last year. And she's got 20 employees. They're doing great stuff. She and Amir have always broken a lot of news. And they're continuing to do that by kind of focusing. This is kind of what GigHome was good at, focusing on the big stories and getting unique insight and information about them.
She also offers, I think this is kind of interesting, when news breaks, she does a conference call with the reporters who've been covering the story.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, ooh.
I don't
know if she charges for that or what, but
I think
that's part of the package.
I think so. As a subscriber, I can do that, and I keep meaning to do it, and I keep forgetting to sign into those because
It's like that. Remember that company, Gerson Lehman?
That's still GLG is still around.
GLG, and they basically do the same thing, organize conference calls. So she's taken a lot of the best ideas from GLG, from us, and wherever, and put together a really working combo, which is great. And, it's good to have a place which is not distracted by advertising.
Yeah. Link bait has really become the biggest issue. We talk so much about fake news of late because of the election, but I think it really goes back more to link bait. And really, ultimately, fake news succeeds because it gets you to click the link, and the guys who are making up the fake news get the advertising revenue. So it's really just it's just link bait to the final, degree.
Right.
Right. It's depressing.
Well, yeah.
That's all right.
That's all right? It's okay to be depressed, says Malik.
No, I think it forces people to think about new and better ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what happened, we broke the internet. I think this is really what happened. The internet started out really great. And then we broke it. We broke it in a number of ways with the monetization models really promoted things like link bait and punch the monkey banner ads. Ad tech went crazy. Hate speech found a way to express itself. And all of these things kind of converged to take what was this kind of utopia and turn it into a dystopia. And it feels like that happened in the last year.
Oh, no. It's been happening forever.
Well, it's been getting worse and worse, but it feels like it just kind of came to a head. I know link bait's been a problem for years, I guess.
I think it's had an impact on the real world outside of the internet maybe in this last year.
Yeah.
Would be a way to think. I mean, it's been happening forever, but most people could avoid it. I mean, it's part of tech encroaching on everyday life everywhere.
I guess you're right.
So, which makes Ohm's empathy gap even more important.
So what do you mean? This is a New Yorker piece. And by the way, it's been great to read you in the New Yorker. I just thrilled to see this. Silicon Valley, this was this week in the New Yorker, has an empathy vacuum. Is it the job of a company to have empathy or merely to return a good dollar to its investors?
I mean, depends on what kind of society we want to live in, right? I think at the end of the day, if you are going to create a society in which only the winners get to, have it all, what happens to the rest of the society? What happens to the whole economic system down the line? Where do people go? People who are purchasing, things which allow companies to market their ads on Facebook are fewer and fewer. Those ads are also going to become fewer and fewer. So it's not just the question of being charitable, but it's more about having a more equitable society in a way that you're actually actively thinking about the disruption you're causing and what are the things you can do to help bring along people whose lives are getting disrupted. I'm not talking about charity here, but I'm talking about, are there opportunities for retrenchment? Are we thinking about, longer term, how our technology has an impact on other things? And I think that's what I mean is, in order to even think about those things, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of other people. And I think if this election showed anything, we refuse to put us in other people's shoes, regardless of what side of political spectrum you really are. And what kind of, and I think it is more and more prevalent in Silicon Valley, where everything is so focused on building returns and growth, and then just kind of moving on to the next thing. And my view is, let's not forget that there is people at the end of this technology who are going to get impacted, and we have to think about those things. We can't just run away from those things. That's the whole piece was all about that. That's like, how do we internalize other people's reality as well? And which probably will lead us to build better, more thoughtful products in the future.
It's good business to consider your customers and society and the impact what you do has on them. It's kind of, but it's more long-term thinking than quarterly results.
That is exactly the case. And I think companies need to stand up to those kind of values. Now, if, look at, I don't know if you saw the news from Facebook yesterday, I think December 2nd, they said, oh, we are going to do 20 million in donation and spend on affordable housing in Menlo Park and East Palo Alto. And which is great. I think that's a great idea in a large scheme of things. But like, how does it going to work out for the entire community? Yeah. If all the houses are being bought by people who live and work for Facebook, they're a certain demographic. So suddenly people who are lower income housing, users, they don't have a place to live in the entire ecosystem, right? They can't afford, the whole food is going to move in, and not like, it will be the schools and the, health systems. Everything is going to evolve around the people who work for Facebook, not for people who have lived there, and eventually they will have to move out. So to say that $20 million is what we are doing, that's nice charity, but in the end, that's the lack of empathy, right all the way through, both, Zuckerberg and Sheryl and whomever, and they don't seem to kind of even think about those things.
Palo Alto is a really good example of this. I mean, people who don't know Silicon Valley, Palo Alto is a very affluent town that's near where Steve Jobs lived, and when the Palo Alto Apple store started selling the iPhone, that's where Jobs would go. The downtown Palo Alto is a very gentrified, cute thing. But like a lot of American cities, there's this, pretty part, and then there's the part where people live who work there, East Palo Alto, and it's very poor. And it's often ignored by the residents of fancy West Palo Alto. And so it's a really good, it's a very, in microcosm, an example of what's happening all over the country. But how could it be bad that Facebook is donating $20 million towards affordable housing? That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, on paper it sounds like a good thing, right? What I'm trying to say is that 5 years down the line, when all the houses are built, the people who are living there are the engineers and the senior management people.
They're just building more housing for their people, ultimately.
Exactly. And then will the people who are in the affordable housing, can they afford any of the services in the area? Can they afford the doctors? Can they afford to send their kids to the school? Can they even go grocery shopping there? Can they do all these things which, normally people are able to do? Because once, the yuppies move in, the cost of living goes up. And what that means is, people who can't keep up, they're out, right? Which is unfortunately the reality of our modern society. But just to kind of say that we are giving $20 million, I think that is completely, missing the point. And that is another proof point of, Silicon Valley missing that empathy gene. It's like, really? You don't think that 5 years down the line, this is going to be a problem? And they have started to treat everything as like can we negate negative press attention by giving some money? I think this is like something which really makes me mad. It's just like, yes, you can do whatever you want to do, but then figure out, use your IQ to figure out ways to bring together all the people you're going to impact, and like take them and lift them through the boom that is the Facebook housing is going to bring there. But again, that's not part of the conversation. $20 million check is not the answer.
Should it be part of the conversation? I think about the atom bomb and all the scientists in the United States who joined the Manhattan Project. Robert Oppenheimer, who very famously said, "Now I've become," was it Kali, the goddess of death? Mm-hmm. And now I become destruction, when the atom bomb was first set off. Oftentimes, I think technologists work on stuff. Well, in this case, they had a motivation. They wanted to beat Nazis to an atom bomb. But I think oftentimes technologists work on technology for technology's sake, science for science sake, and say, we can't be responsible for the impact technology has. And I wonder if, it's interesting that you write this article at this time, because there's also, I think it's in the Wall Street Journal this week, and there's this growing movement of empathy is actually bad for public policy. You've probably seen this as well. Go ahead.
I was going to say that makes sense. I mean, one of the things, when you're talking about empathy, I think about externalities, right? The economic kind of the impact of your stuff beyond what you're paying, your profits and that sort of thing. And there has to be a limit if you're a company that is trying to think about other people. You have to draw the line somewhere. And everyone's going to debate where that line is. And I think it's important for any kind of tech company or person in technology to think about the externalities of their whatever they're developing, whatever they're doing. But at the end of the day, they still have to focus on profits. And the question is, how far do you take it?
I'm sure, Om, that you were aware of, and probably maybe even responding to Paul Bloom's New Yorker article earlier this year, the case against empathy, in which he points out that empathy suffers from this identifiable victim effect, where you can identify the specific victims and as a result make public policy that may help the specific identified victim and hurt the kind of invisible victims over the long haul.
Or just the unsympathetic victims. I mean, we're seeing that in Texas when they're instead of debating whether or not Texas should take care of its Medicaid obligations, because they're kind of in a fight right now with Obamacare, basically. Instead, they're crafting these crazy laws and they're doing these crazy exemptions to the policies and funding. And then some group that's really sympathetic, like children who need prosthetic limbs or children who need mental health therapy, suddenly they're like, oh, we're in the fire line for this. And then the politicians come in and they're like, okay, we'll take care of everyone, or we'll take care of these guys, and everyone else who's unsympathetic goes away. And that's a terrible way to impact policy, but that's a different conversation.
Maybe we just want a larger, an empathy that has a larger sense than just baby Jessica in the well, or,
I think there's a lot of people who confuse sympathy with empathy. And I think what I'm trying to talk about is actually trying to understand what other people are talking about, what other people are dealing with, what the impact is on other people. I'm not saying take a sympathetic action. I'm just saying, if you do not understand, how can you build better products? How can you build a better society? Sympathy is not going to lead to a better society. Listening better and trying to internalize other people's issues and trying to figure out how to better improve the environment we live in or the products we build is important. Sort of like you saw the whole issue with Facebook and fake news, and they were denying it for so long. And how can you deny something you are complicit in? And just because you say you are not able to fix it, we should believe you. And that's kind of what I mean is like, wait, you're not even thinking and listening to people who are talking about fake news. You're just dismissing them with the wave of your hand. And so that's what I mean is like, that's not where we are as an industry. We need to kind of listen better, internalize a lot of things, and then start to see what we can do and what we can't do. I mean, Stacey, you're talking about what is the limit for the companies. I think if they are doing this for a profit reason, they are building housing right next to their offices because people can come and work longer hours in the company office. But remember, the company cities, whether it was Cleveland or Pittsburgh or wherever, the big companies paid for healthcare, they paid for schools, they even paid for colleges and schools, engineering schools. All those things they paid for because that was part of the social contract they had. This is not like socialism. This was like a capitalist company like US Steel or whomsoever was looking out for its own interest. And I think that's what, if Facebook is looking out for its own interest, it should go beyond giving $20 million in housing subsidies and saying, oh, okay, that's good enough. No, if you want to do this, build up the whole East Palo Alto, Menlo Park area, provide the services which will lift not just their engineering teams, but also people who are not engineers, people who work in the back of Facebook offices. There will be more jobs like that. Can those people stay within the community? Can their kids aspire to go to the same college and school as everybody else's kids? So I think that is what I mean. It's not, don't be sympathetic to the cause and just say, oh, here is some money. No, empathy is like kind of saying, what is other people's problems? What are their hopes and dreams? Trying to understand that is very important. That is good corporate, management. That is good capitalism. And I think it's time to actually think and talk about those things.
Dr. Bloom, who just wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal and whose book Against Empathy comes out next week, I think agrees with you, actually, Om, but he prefers the word compassion. He says there's a difference between empathy and compassion, and that when there's even a brain chemistry difference between empathy and compassion. Compassion is more having a sense of a feeling for and not feeling with. It is characterized by feelings of warmth, concern, and care for the other, as well as a strong motivation to improve the other's well-being. Empathy ends up just like using the word sympathy, actually, is more feeling what the other feels as opposed to concern about improving everybody's well-being.
Yeah, and I think I say that in my piece. It's like empathy is not a marketing slogan. It's like you either are empathetic or you're not.
Right. Right.
And that's the key thing is
I guess the point I was making is that technology doesn't have empathy or compassion. It just is. And
right. Well, technology, but there are people behind all tech.
I understand, but you can, if you don't, so I mean, pick any technical innovation, let's say cloning, which obviously has positives and negatives. You can say, well, we're not going to do cloning, as we have said in the United States, but China might say, well, that's fine because we're going to do it. Technology always seems to, it's like water. It seems to always find a way. So I don't know if empathy can block a technology.
You don't need it to block a technology. You need to have your company, or as someone who's inventing tech or implementing technology, think about how it affects others and try to understand the other point of view. Yeah. I was going to give you an example, actually, and it's going to come from a company that Om may get upset or not upset with, but Om, it's not a favorite company of his, but AT&T actually is aware that its business is kind of under threat and it's changing its corporate infrastructure and its technology to do software-defined networking. And as part of that, it's retraining a huge chunk of its workers. It's offering a lot of Udacity courses and paying its employees to take these courses to help get them ready from the world where they, physically manipulated cables to a world where they're going to do it digitally. And I think that's actually a really good example of saying, hey, we're going to implement an entirely new technology across our business, and our people aren't going to be able to keep up. And we can argue that AT&T is doing this because a lot of their workers are unionized, and yay. But at the same time, it's kind of a nice example of a tech change being met with empathy or compassion.
Yeah. Well, the biggest issue in America today is income inequality, and I mean, it's with all of the unicorns out there. It's very clear that there are some, and I think this is part of the malaise that we're feeling in this country. Is you see people getting intensely rich while so many are struggling. But I don't know if Silicon Valley can solve that problem. Do you think it can, Om?
What do you mean by solve that problem?
Well,
that there are no jobs?
Can it act in a way that, yeah, I mean, if automation causes people to lose jobs, and automation is part of the business of, you know, robotics and artificial intelligence, and are you saying not to do it? Are you how do you adjust what you're doing to protect people? I understand. I think it would be wonderful to protect those jobs.
Well, I mean, you look at what Stacey just said. They said you are essentially helping retrain the current workforce for a new future. Now, out of 50,000 people, maybe 20,000 people will have a job and 30,000 people won't. But it's still better than 50,000 people not having a job. I'm not saying I am not against the idea of technology. I love all the progress we make. What I'm also trying to figure out is what more can we do to start bringing people along as we go into this future? Can we figure out new jobs? Can we figure out new opportunities? Can we figure out how to retrain the workforces of the industrial era for this new time frame? Can we afford to give up on 3 to 4 generations of people before everybody starts to kind of become part of the workforce all over again? And the answer to that can be yes, because that is a very fruitfully, fearful future. I fear for so many people who will be just left without jobs, and then what are we going to do to them? Like, how will we take care of the society? And I think it's important to figure out even a little bit of effort is more than no effort. And that's what this whole piece was all about.
Yes. And we're heading, pell-mell, we're heading towards a future where many people, I mean, just as industrialization cost people jobs, we're post-industrial America. Those jobs, I mean, the solution is not to recreate the steel industry in the United States. And there are tough challenges, and automation is one of them. And that's not going to turn around and stop. I agree, we need to consider it. But I don't know if Silicon Valley has the.
So outside of solving social issues and inequality, there's also a part of Om's thing, possibly, or maybe it's me adding to it. Think about how your products perpetuate inequality or help people maybe avoid interact. I mean, like, so, filter bubbles is a very simple example, but another is things like when you're starting to use algorithms to, map out safe routes home, where does that take people? This was kind of part of the weapons of math destruction. I mean, it's basically, we put so much faith in technology that maybe we shouldn't. Or maybe
I'm saying it doesn't matter because it's going to happen. So faith or not, we're on this road. It's not going to suddenly, let's just, let's grow flowers and cut the soles off of our shoes. It's not going to happen. And so let's talk about the filter bubble. I mean, Om, you talk about this in your piece. Facebook he says Facebook as a company makes these bubble blunders again and again. Well, what is Facebook to do? Facebook right now optimizes its algorithm to improve reader engagement, period. And it works. We can see the numbers. We can see it works. Is it Facebook's job to change how human beings work? Because
what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just saying if Facebook, look, let's say it's Facebook's responsibility to optimize, to make TV has, by the way, TV has grappled with this for years. Do you give people what they want and get increasing ratings? Or do you say, well, with a spoonful of sugar, we're also going to make the medicine go down and we're going to beef up our news operations even though nobody watches them because we have a societal obligation. Is Facebook supposed to do the same thing?
That's a pretty illogical argument, to be honest. I think you get spam in your inbox. Do you not get mad with Google for sending you spam? And don't you think it's their problem to fix the spam problem? Fake news is the equivalent of spam on a media-centric platform like Facebook.
But Facebook is a business designed to optimize for profit.
Well, so is like Gmail optimized around delivering more email to you. The more spam email you get, more you're going to stay in the inbox. So they're going to have to figure out a new business model around that. So I think what I'm saying is that as a platform, which, is based on now they're like the media platform for the planet, it is important for them to make sure that there is no fake news platform origin stories popping onto the system. It's just like spam. It's just they are preventing us from using, like getting spam emails.
All right, to extend your analogy, though, some spam, it's obviously spam. If the word Viagra is in it spelled with a 1, I know it's spam. The problem is, and Facebook has this problem, and Gmail has this problem, there's some email that is debatable. There's some fake news that's debatable. Should let's say an atheist decides, well, anything about God is patently fake because there is no God, so I'm going to eliminate all God stories from Facebook. That's an extreme example, but...
Well, I think that is an extreme example to prove your case. When I'm talking about is Mrs. Clinton killed a child or did some murder, like is responsible for so many murders.
Yes, there's some fake news we can all agree
stories coming out of Macedonia from a Macedonian website. How the hell that is
they
not
should
spam?
block that.
And,
I agree.
Right, and then why didn't they do it? Like that's the basic problem.
And as I said, with spam, there's a gray area. So you're saying let's just do the obvious stuff.
Right. The obvious stuff was the bigger problem than just the non-obvious stuff.
I disagree because I think the bigger problem is not, the Pope endorses Donald Trump, blatantly fake, provably wrong. Not a big important thing, frankly. The conspiracy theory that a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. is a child porn ring or that the president is a Kenyan-born non-American citizen, those things have a life of their own, regardless of Facebook, has nothing to do with Facebook because people want to believe them, people do believe them. Is it Facebook's job to say, oh, no, that's not true?
I think a lot of people see that and think about it. The number of things you see just flying by, you read it, it becomes part of your consciousness. You don't even think about it. And in Facebook, that happens a lot. And so then you pull these things out. Oh, I saw that somewhere. There's like a child porn ring staffed by...
Right. No, I understand the mechanism, but is it really Facebook's obligation?
Yes, it should be as a platform.
But there's lots of people who would argue it's true.
It's not true. And it causes actual detriment.
This is the problem with conspiracy theories is it's very hard to prove them not true. You can't prove the negative. And so I think it's provably true that the Pope did not endorse Donald Trump. Just ask the Pope. It is much more difficult to prove some of these other things. That's why they live on. They're conspiracy theories. And I don't know if I want Facebook to get in the job of a censorship at that point.
You could, but we've talked about this. We've talked about having feedback from readers. So if I see this in my feed, I can be like... I agree.
There's some mechanisms, right. There's some mechanisms.
And I think also a labeling, like, just like Google, when they send you, this may be spam.
Yeah. I understand. Help the reader, give them more information. I'm kind of okay with that. But would you want them to block birther stories or block 9/11 conspiracy stories?
It depends on where they're coming from. If they're coming from some website in, Eastern Europe, or they're coming out from some dumb website in, it's like some other country like that, yeah, they should be blocking those. And, if those stories are on, let's say, any of the alt-right websites, well, it's kind of debatable whether they're right or they're wrong. But
I think this is tricky. I think then you have one group, this is more polarizing, denying the truth of another group, saying it's obviously not true, and the other group saying, well, it's obviously is true. Show me where it's not true. And then it becomes very difficult for Facebook to say, well, we've decided this is true and that's not true. I don't want Facebook to be in that business.
Facebook's already in that business. They already they already block things like they block the napalm. Was it the napalm kid story or photographs?
Yeah.
They block. Yeah. They used to block pictures of women breastfeeding. I mean, they've always been in that business.
I feel like if you're a social network, you're in the business of letting people share the stuff they care about, true or not.
Okay, can I just say one thing? Facebook is hardly a social network anymore. The only thing you can't share there is social stuff. All you share is stupid news stories and fights with each other on politics.
Well, then we should just all abandon Facebook. But I got to point out, 1.75 billion monthly active users.
No, I'm just saying.
They're not going to miss you, Stacey.
I know they're not missing it, but I don't miss them either.
They're optimizing for profit, as every business does.
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with optimizing for profit. I just think they can't run away from their responsibility. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
And by the way, they can do censorship in China. They have the systems to block content they don't like in China. Yep. And to say that they can block fake news, I mean...
They can block real news in China. If the Uyghurs revolt, you're not going to see it on Facebook in China.
Exactly.
I was in China in 2009 watching CNN. They do this story about the Uyghur rebellion. CNN goes black for 3 minutes. That's it. Nothing's there, and then it comes back on. And I bet people in China are used to that. So
it's a really heavy-handed censorship.
It's not a good thing.
Can we talk about some fun stuff?
Yeah, we're going to take a break. No, this is important stuff, though. And
I know.
And I'm really glad that you. And I'm pushing back a little bit because I think it's important to have the full conversation on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about fun stuff.
Why do you think I'm in this business? I started in talk radio, talking politics. I started political talk radio. Why do you think I'm here now? It's the last thing I want to do. I would go home every day with a stomach ache. It's like, I don't want to talk about this stuff. Let's talk about smartphones. Let's talk about virtual reality headgear. Let's talk about our sponsor. I got to optimize for profit sometimes too,
Absolutely.
These Christmas decorations aren't cheap.
Exactly.
Heck yeah. My hipster grandpa sweater, that cost money.
I was like, that looks cashmere. Fancy.
It is, actually.
See?
You know what the great sadness of my life is? My wife is allergic to cashmere. How can that be?
Is cashmere bunnies?
No.
Goats.
It's goats, but they don't kill the goat. They run through little bushes, and the bushes capture the fuzz, excess, not even fuzz they need, excess fuzz as the goat runs through the bush. And then
Actually,
they go.
That's not the case, but
it's absolutely the case.
I'm like, what kind of artisanal cashmere farming?
No, they just kind of shave the goats and then.
Yeah. No, not the good cashmere.
Okay.
Really?
Really?
The empathetic cashmere is the branches
I think you should look it up.
See these goats? These goats, they run through the bushes, and little fuzz balls come off of them, and they're harvested and made into the finest cashmere in the world.
Angora, that's the bunnies. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's Angora wool. That's something different. Oh, wait a minute. Here they are shearing a goat.
Yeah. All right. Who's your sponsor?
It's not cashmere. I can tell you that right now. Our show. Where did I get? Well, you should know. It's from Kashmir in India, right, Om?
No, it's from Mongolia.
Oh, it's Mongolia. Okay. I thought it was from the Kashmir region of India.
No, they said those are not that great. I think the ones from Mongolia are awesome.
The ones from Mongolia is the one where the goats run through the bushes, I'm pretty sure.
There are no bushes in Mongolia.
I know.
Wow, this is like the first tech show without any tech.
No, it's coming. We talked about Facebook. That's tech. We talked about the responsibility of Silicon Valley. That's tech. Our show today brought to you by FreshBooks.com. I had somebody ask me the other day for a better way to invoice his clients. If you're a freelancer or a small business, you got to know about FreshBooks. This is the solution that I used for years, but it's so much more than invoicing now. The new FreshBooks really is cloud accounting. The new FreshBooks dashboard tells you things that so many small businesses don't know. If you're a freelancer, can you tell me right off the bat if you were profitable this year? Can you tell me how profitable? Can you tell me what your expenses were, who owes you money, what your accounts receivable are? If you had FreshBooks, you could. You just go to the front page and you'd know. Redesigned from the ground up and built just for the way you work. Most accounting systems, you have to bend your mind around to work with them. Not FreshBooks. FreshBooks works the way you work. So you'll be more productive, more organized, and you'll get paid more quickly. Create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds. No formatting, no formulas. Just clean, professional-looking invoices with your logo, your color scheme. It reflects your brand. And by the way, when you send the client the invoice, you'll know on the dashboard it says whether they've seen it or not. So they can't say, oh, I didn't get your invoice. Yes, you did. You read it. Set up online payments for them with a couple of clicks. You'll get paid, according to FreshBooks research, up to 4 days faster. There's also a super handy deposit feature, so you can invoice for expenses and payments up front when you're kicking off a project, so you don't have to do it out of pocket. Right now, you can try it free, a 30-day unrestricted free trial, just by going to freshbooks.com/twit. Enter This Week in Tech in the form when they ask you, how'd you hear about us? That would help us. Start your 30-day free trial today. FreshBooks saved my life when I was going to Canada 1 week a month doing the TV show, and I had to invoice them and do expenses. It was a huge boon. FreshBooks.com/twit. Malik is here from ohm.co and pi.co, Pico. He's at Ohm on the Twitter, the best Twitter handle ever. He's also joined by Stacey, or Giga Stacey as she's known on Twitter, because she worked at Giga Ohm for many years. Also now at the host of the IoT podcast at iotpodcast.com. Stacey on IoT. Is it going to be an IoT Christmas, Stacey?
At my house or just in general?
Everywhere.
Oh, I hope so. I really do, but I kind of doubt it.
And yet at the same time, I think there's a lot of security people who wish it wouldn't be, right?
Right. Well, the newer devices from credible people, from credible vendors, are much more secure.
Do not buy those cheap Chinese routers and DVRs and cameras and buy them.
Everyone should buy a router for Christmas this year. A router that is over-the-air upgradable.
Yes.
A modern one.
That's key.
That doesn't have your passwords hard-coded.
Right.
The new Belkin Linksys routers are okay that way. I believe the new D-Links are, but I haven't confirmed that.
You know what? We like the Eros, and they're a sponsor, but they didn't buy an ad today. But that's an example of a router that is regularly updated.
Yes.
They do everything right. Google's doing the same thing now.
With OnHub.
OnHub. There's the Orbi from Netgear.
Netgear. And actually, I think Wirecutter just said that was the best mesh networking router out there of the ones they had tried.
Well, I trust the Wirecutter.
You mean you said that?
Wirecutter.
I did not. I was like, I didn't do that particular review for the Wirecutter.
Do you write for the Wirecutter too?
I used to.
I didn't know that.
They are so good with their reviews, but it's a very constrained process. It makes a great review, but it's hard to do. There's a lot of spreadsheets.
Well, as it should be.
Yes.
They were just bought by the New York Times, by the way. So
for $30 million.
Nice job, Brian Lamb. He can afford a bunch more Orbis.
Hey, I have a question for you on the routers. I have the Apple router, which is the
now abandoned.
Yes.
Abandoned, but is that a bad one to have, or is it like?
No, it's not. You know, one of the things about the Apple router, besides the fact that we're overpriced, $200, is Apple did keep them up to date. And they did avoid a lot of security pitfalls that other routers fell into, like WPS, which was that push button joining, which was terrible, flawed, and Apple doesn't do that. But I think any router that's more than a couple of years old should be replaced. They wear out, the technology changes, and I think there are much better choices out there. Now, you're in an apartment, right? So
Yeah.
one router probably gets to every corner of the place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could keep using the Apple router if it works for you.
Well, we'll see if they'll tell us how long. I guess the question is, how long will they keep updating their router software?
And they have not
if they've
announced,
abandoned-
by the way, they have
Yes.
not announced anything. But Recoder, somebody Mark Gurman had the story on Bloomberg that the entire team had been transferred to Apple TV so that there's nobody working on it. Or maybe there's a skeleton team working on it. Yes,
Or maybe they're
TV
doing,
becomes a router.
Yeah.
Maybe
Why
they're doing
not?
mesh
I mean,
and just.
I think it's pretty clear looking at things like that and the people moving on that Apple is really refocusing on a few smaller number of products. They've already said they are not going to do any more displays and have pushed you to LG if you're going to buy a display. I feel like Apple is in the process right now of saying we're going to focus on, and as they've always done, a smaller number of products and put all our, as they would say in the financial press, put more wood behind our arrows.
I hate that
Good
phrase.
job. Anyway.
If I put that in an article, you would edit that right out. You blue pencil that right out, right, Stacey?
I'd be like, oh, really?
Blue pencil? No, red pencil.
Red pencil.
What's the
But
blue
no
pencil
pencils.
for? No pencils.
There's no pen. How long has it been since you've edited anything?
Look at this.
When I graduated.
I can. Should I do blue or red? Let's do. I don't like that word. Okay,
Oh,
let's put this in here. I can do that, right?
I
Man,
didn't
this
have
is
that kind
so
of
good.
fancy equipment.
I need a better pencil, but I can choose. You see, I'll make it smaller. I'll make it bluer.
Does that transfer with your?
No.
Okay, we'll see.
Now I
I'm
have
like,
to save
now
it.
that would be really exciting technology right there.
Yeah, so what happens, so this is actually kind of cool. This is the Surface Pro. So I'm looking at a website, a real live website. If I double tap my pencil, it turns it into an image, which I can then annotate. And I could save that out and send it to Matthew and say, Matthew, I don't like this head.
But then he would hate you because he'd have to go back in and.
And then
that would
I'd
be
go,
terrible.
TK. I don't know what any of those things mean. So, what were we talking about? Wood, arrows, end of the day, Apple. I do think that the new mesh routers are better, but they're really for solving the problem of congestion and spread. So you don't have any trouble with your Wi-Fi roam, right?
No, none at all.
The Apple router is still perfectly secure, and as far as I know, will be for.
I wanted to
Is it
ask the
AC?
two of you.
It's AC.
This is like one of those, like the tall ones with
Airport Extreme, it's
storage and
called.
everything.
Oh, and you have the one with a hard drive built in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The question I wanted to ask the two of you is, I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to protect your personal information, in a sense, VPN and like encryption and all that kind of stuff, especially for somebody like me who travels a bunch.
Yeah.
What's the right way to do this?
Yeah.
Without like adding too much overhead in terms of like, slowing down the machine and stuff.
You're screwed,
Yeah, because
Really?
anytime you come back into the country, they can just take your stuff.
They can't. So
Yeah, I mean,
encryption,
that's
obviously encryption is your friend, right? In fact, notice that since the election, for the downloads of Signal, the encrypted messenger from Open Systems, have quadrupled. So clearly there are people, and it may also be related, frankly, to the passage of the Investigatory Powers Act in the UK. That may have been a precipitating factor too. At this point, I don't feel like here in the United States we have any more issue with privacy than we've always had.
No, I'm talking about all these
But
spammers
traveling
and
is
everything.
another issue. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, are you talking about people like hackers trying to get to your data?
Yeah.
So here's what I would do. And this is actually what I use. There's a little device called a tiny hardware firewall. And you can buy it. It's not very expensive. It fits on your keychain. See, then it's a USB key. What this is it's a built-in VPN and Tor. They actually have bigger devices too if you want. But this thing, you could put this in your laptop bag. Whenever you're at an open Wi-Fi access point, you plug this into the USB port. It picks up the Wi-Fi signal from the coffee shop, passes it through a VPN and or Tor, depending on what you want, to your computer. So that your computer is now on a VPN and or Tor the whole time you're using it in the coffee shop, which absolutely is more secure.
Gotcha.
This also has optional malware blocking and ad blocking, if you want to turn that on as well. So basically, it's like a filtration system. Yeah, I have one of them here. I just got this is a same people, tinyhardwarefirewall.com, that do. This is a router. So this is a little portable router. You see, it has the Wi-Fi and the Ethernet. The safest thing to do would be to turn off the Wi-Fi on your laptop entirely, so that you're not an attack surface at all. Put this on your laptop, have it get the Wi-Fi signal, and then go into your laptop via Ethernet. And then your laptop is truly not an attack surface, okay? You want to use anything that goes out of your laptop is going through VPN. I don't know if you want it anonymized or not. Tor is, as we know, the FBI has cracked Tor, and Tor may not be perfectly anonymizing, but it's better than nothing. And then you probably want to use encryption on your email, and that means GPG, not Proton Mail or something like that. Do you use PGP or GPG?
I use GPG.
Yeah. And so that means you have to use an email client that supports GPG. Apple's Mail does. If you go to gpgtools.org, that's for the Mac, and you can get the GPG suite. It doesn't currently work with the Sierra version of Mail, but it works with other clients, including Thunderbird, which is available on every platform. If you're on Windows, you go to GPG for Win. That will also it installs easily. If you do those,
hard.
It'd be hard.
I need to buy a Windows machine then.
Well, don't do that. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. And then, so now your email is encrypted, because otherwise it's a postcard. It's encrypted. Your web browsing is encrypted. If you don't have your Wi-Fi turned on your laptop, an attacker would have to have physical access to your hardware. That's, they don't have that, right? Don't let them have that. I wouldn't carry around a smartphone with you, or if you do carry around a smartphone that's not connected to any of your accounts, because this is a real. In fact, look at the latest story on Android. There's a real problem. They call it Gooligan, which is
I read that story. That was scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Millions of accounts being compromised, and thousands more every day as we speak. 86 apps. Now, the problem is, you notice it says third-party app stores. So one way to avoid this is to not go anywhere but Google's Play Store. Nevertheless, stuff has snuck into Google's Play Store in the past. This takes advantage of a flaw in earlier versions of Android. That's the other thing, is make sure you use the latest versions of Android. This affects versions 4 and version 5 through Lollipop. So if you're using Marshmallow or...
a lot of the carriers and stuff, have they
No, well, that's the
upgraded to
problem.
Lollipop?
Is a lot of these cheap phones,
Yeah.
you buy a phone for $40, it's not going to be updated. The carrier's not going to update it. The manufacturer's not going to update it. You're going to be using whatever version it came with. And so that's why so many people are vulnerable, is because the vast majority of Android devices are running old versions of Android.
So is it okay then that we basically have bifurcated people, like folks who can pay for security, or you can either have tech that's expensive? Yeah, I mean,
isn't that interesting?
Because we've basically just told people, well, pay up, dude. Don't buy cheap knockoffs.
And the people who are most vulnerable are the ones who are getting attacked.
Right, as is often the case.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I think I'm not wrong that in a lot of countries where there isn't a great banking infrastructure, the smartphone is the bank. In Africa with M-Pesa and things like that, and I mean, you're very vulnerable.
I don't know what security measures are in place for that sort of thing, like with M-Pesa.
Right.
I think Google needs to just take control of Android.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with Pixel, but it's an $800 phone.
No. I mean, no more Android OS, open source.
Right.
Bring it back into Google.
Maybe that's the solution.
That's the only solution.
It's not that iPhone doesn't have problems, but they have far fewer problems on iOS.
At least there is one place where you can fight them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they own the whole infrastructure. That's the other benefit they have. They're limited.
Don't bring it up with Leo. He's going to lose his
Okay.
You have a very
done.
low opinion of me, don't you?
You and Mac do not get along. You know
I
that.
like Apple. I'm not complaining about Apple. I love Apple.
Last 5 times I've been on your show. We should just do this. There's been rants about Apple, so
you know what?
I just want to have a happy time with you.
I'm mad at Apple because I love Apple so much. Isn't it the case you always hurt the one you love? I heard that in a song once.
You listen to a lot of country music.
Ooh, I just bought tickets to go see Willie Nelson. That is it. I'm excited.
That's not country music. That is folk music of America.
It is the people's music.
It is awesome. I'm so pumped. Okay.
I have been in Willie Nelson's bus.
Were you smoking weed?
If you get in the bus, it doesn't matter whether you're smoking weed or not. You just breathe and you're smoking weed. Okay. They open the door to the bus and smoke pours out. And I got in and he gave me a bottle of Old Whiskey River and a red bandana. And I even held his guitar, which apparently was bad etiquette, but I did it anyway.
How long ago was this?
100 years ago. He was a guest on Tech TV, actually, so it would have been on the what did you call it? The best screensavers?
No, the real screensavers.
Real screensavers.
This is the new screensavers. Why did you call it the new screensavers?
Because it's new. So we would know. By the way, we don't have to call it the new screensavers. We have the trademark.
It's called the new real screensavers.
The new, but it was real, but now it's the fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta come on that show. That is my dream show.
Come on that show. Book Ohm on the fake screensavers, would you? You're more than welcome. Anytime. We would love that. Talk and post office customers hit by the Mirai worm. We thought this was over. Mirai is a worm that attacks routers. Deutsche Telekom, 900,000 customers with the Mirai worm. Post Office is the British ISP. Talk, another British ISP, hit by the Mirai worm because their routers were not patched.
Well, actually, that's not quite. With the Deutsche Telekom, they actually saw that folks were using Mirai and tried to patch it. And when they did the attempted patch, they did it all at once and they bricked a bunch of devices because it was inexpertly applied. So they were trying.
It was a worldwide attack on selected remote management ports of DSL routers. There are 20 million Deutsche Telekom customers in Germany. A mere 900,000 got Mirai. But they now have put another patch out, I guess, that works and advise users to reboot to clear the virus. So you say, was this after this story that they did the patch, or is this? No,
this was the original story. We talked about it on our show earlier this week.
On the real Stacey on IoT.
The real
That's true.
Stacey
the real
show.
IoT
Stacey IoT podcast.
Yeah.
So, I think there has got to be a rule against the companies who don't do this properly. Security. I think if your job is to provide internet access or banking, if they are unable to provide protection and encryption of data, they should be heavily penalized for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's an interesting thought, because I had a dude. Okay, so there's the Broadband Internet Technical Advisory Group actually put out a report last week talking about this, and part of it was the role of ISPs. So the challenge they face with securing their routers, and we can argue about this, it'll be fun, is that if they block these attacks, what happens is, or if they block, whenever they block anything or close off a port on a router, they get a technical support call from someone.
It's hugely expensive for the big ISPs.
So they're like, it costs a lot of money.
Right.
Now, the downside now, though, is people are like, with Mirai, X number of their routers might be compromised easily. So then they're like, is it more expensive to do it this way or that way?
Right.
So,
well, for a long time,
shouldn't they be proactively looking to block these things even before the attacks arise? In a sense, part of their, OPEX should be devoted entirely to fixing the problems before they. It's sort of like, very much like the medical system where we have, you can go to the hospital after you've fallen sick It's the same thing. It's like, but we try to close the door after the freaking horse is, bolted. Like, why would you do that? Like, why not try and, provide ways to not cause problems, already. And I think that's what I mean is like, if your job is to manage people's identity, people's internet access, people's banking, you should be like at the ultra edge of preventing these attacks.
If only that were true.
It was, yeah.
I think they're coming into, like, I expect most ISPs, go on.
No, go for it.
I like the word, by the way, and I know you said proactive, but I thought you said broactive. And I think they should be broactive.
What does that even mean?
I was like, what is, I'm like sitting here, do they come and like punch you in the arm when they hand you a new router?
Bro!
All right, bro, you're
High
ready
five,
now.
bro! You got a new router!
I was going to say.
Sorry, go ahead,
that
please.
They are looking at doing new routers, but it's a pain to do a customer premise equipment. Replacing millions of pieces of equipment at people's houses is arduous, and you're always going to get these people who are like, I like this, it works just fine.
Comcast, very famously, internet service providers hate it when you have a email server running at home, and they're often put there by malware to send out spam. That was a big problem for years. And the solution was very simple, which was merely to block port 25, the SMTP port. And Comcast resisted it for years because they said, and when you have millions of customers, this makes sense, that they would get millions of phone calls. It would cost them millions of dollars if they did it. They eventually did it, though, and this is the point. They had to. And I think that you're going to get resistance from these companies saying, well, that's expensive. But I think you're right, is hold their feet to the fire. Say you have a responsibility, if you're making equipment that's on the network, to preserve the network. Isn't that what Ma Bell used to say right before the Carter decision? Ma Bell said, well, you can't put just any old equipment on the network because we got to preserve network integrity. Of course, they lost that case.
That's what any IS or any cellular provider says about their network, too.
Yeah. Apple says, Apple tried to tell the Librarian of Congress it would be illegal to jailbreak an iPhone because that would make, hackers have access to the cell towers.
Oh, see, there you go again.
All right, no. Here's some good news. J.D. Power released a new study today saying that the Airport Extreme has number one customer satisfaction.
That's why they shut it down.
That's why they shut it down, baby.
It's easy. And now all these other companies are coming in and they're trying to do exactly that.
Ask if you install in a couple of years, and I think Eero and Luma and Orbi and all of these, the OnHub, these are going to be the future, I think.
Because, yes, they're so much easier to set up and manipulate and deal with.
It's a little weird, though. In fact, I asked Eero about this because in order to use the Eero router, you have to create an Eero account, either tied to your cell phone or your email. And I said, well, why do I have to do that? That means now you've associated all the traffic on this router with me personally. And they said, well, yeah, we'll protect your privacy, et cetera, et cetera. But the reason we do that is so that we can update it for security. Having an account allows us to kind of improve your router, specifically your router.
And the other thing.
But at the same time, in the past, my ASUS router didn't know who I was, right?
Well, but your ISP knows who you were and the IP addresses. I mean,
I know.
We could still continue those arguments.
I always say that when people complain about Google knowing too much about you, I say, forget Google. What about your ISP? At least Google, is a publicly held company and people are paying attention to it. Nobody cares. Your ISP can do anything it wants. In fact, if you're in England, your ISP is mandated to keep track of everything you do and offer it at any time to any British authority, including the food safety authorities.
I was going to say there's a pro side to Eero having your account. Nick Weaver, the CEO of Eero, he had told me originally that when they started deploying their beta units, people kept putting in terrible passwords, like password 123.
Right.
And so he changed the whole system. He was like, screw it. We're going to do this like double opt or two-factor of a sort. So now you have to ask, when you log into your account, you give them your email address or your phone number, and then you get a email or a text, and then you enter that code, and then you can log on. So they're really they're using that to make things more secure.
I think
as well.
so. He told me the same thing, and it convinced me of the value of doing that. Here are the authorities allowed to access, without warrant, in the UK, your internet connection records, like every site you visited over the last year. Of course, the police forces of London, Scotland, Northern Ireland, the British Transport Police, the Secret Intelligence Service, GCHQ, of course, Ministry of Defense, but the Department of Health.
Ooh, the Gambling Commission. Look at that. Look at the
Commission.
lottery ads you could get.
Look at this list. It goes on and on and on. The Gangmasters and Labor Abuse Authority. The Information Commissioner. I don't even know who that is. The Ombudsman, Police Ombudsman for Northern Ireland. The Scottish Ambulance Service Board. But the best one is the Food Standards Agency, I think. Are you violating food standards? Well, let's check your surf history, and just to make sure. Anyway, that was good news. Your JD Power says you got the best router. You should be happy, Om.
Woohoo!
I don't have to buy a new one. I'm happy about that.
I think it's okay.
You'll be fine.
It's Stockholm Syndrome. Anybody who paid $200 for an Apple router is going to think it's the best router.
I didn't say that. I just asked you, what should I do?
Are you getting any iCloud calendar spam?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like offers to buy Ray-Ban sunglasses?
Totally.
Yeah. Showing up in your calendar. Apple's acknowledged the problem. They're saying, we're sorry some of our users are receiving spam calendar invitations. Some of our users, I think everybody. We're actively working to address this issue by identifying and blocking suspicious senders and spam. What they're not doing is changing the mechanism that allows any rando to put a calendar event in your calendar.
I think it's just like one of the things is you need to learn to decode what Apple says and what Apple means. Some means a lot of people are getting this spam.
That's the word. Some.
I mean, it's like the only challenge I have with Apple is that none of the Apple bloggers call them out on things.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, Bome. I'm just trying to be honest.
No, but like there is calling them out and disliking them.
I don't dislike them. I love Apple.
That's like Granny Apples or the other
No,
ones?
I love you know what? I bought a Mac in the first 100 days. I went to Macy's and I charged it for $2,500, and I've owned every Mac since. I even bought that silly Mac with the OLED touch bar on it. That's how much I love it.
You want to get rid of it? I'll buy it from you.
No, I'm going to keep using it, but the OLED touch bar, that's kind of goofy. I like the fingerprint thing. The Touch ID is good.
No, I thought if you hated it, I could take it from you.
I don't hate it. I love it. It's my little laptop. See? But I think
no new Surface for you?
What do you think this is? What do you think this is?
From a laptop standpoint.
Oh, no, I have the old Surface Book. I think that's fine. I'm not a Windows fan either. You know what? I think you probably don't understand. I hate technology. That's why I got in this business, yeah.
Wow, you're like the real natural-born curmudgeon.
I am. I didn't used to be, but then I started working with John C. Dvorak, and he rubbed off.
Okay.
It's his fault.
I forgive you.
I blame him. No, you know what? I used to be way too positive about technology. But ultimately, here's the truth. My job is not to cheerlead for any technology or technology company, but to cheerlead for users. I'm a user. I want to represent the user's interests. And if something's not working for people, then we could do better, right?
You and Stacey both.
Right? We're for the user, right?
Right. Well, consumer, yes.
Yeah, consumers.
People. You're for the people, not the user or the consumer. Those are negative terms.
What?
He's not any kind of user.
I'm like, if you spend $100 to a couple $1,000s on something, it should work. And it should not.
Thank you.
Yeah. That is called IoT, the entire ecosystem. You buy things and they keep piling up.
And they never work.
So I have a couple things that work, but yeah, you're right. I took someone to task. I took August to task this week on the show because I was so frustrated with some things they had done. So,
what is August?
The connected locks.
How come we've run out of names? So now I've got the June oven and the August lock. Am I going to have the July router and the September laptop?
There is a company called July Systems. They make networking equipment for the telecoms.
I was like, there you go, routers.
You see?
It's possible.
It's possible.
I mean,
let's take a break.
The domain's available.
I'm going to try to cheer up. I love this. And I'm not a Windows fan, but I love the Surface Studio just because I like this. Just being able to touch this stuff is so awesome. Make it big and small and twist it.
You should get somebody to bring you some mulled wine and, get you in that holiday cheer mode.
I'm in the holiday spirit. I am. This is my Christmas gift to myself. Our show.
To yourself?
Well, yeah. Who else? I don't give gifts to other people. I give them to me.
Wait a second. What have I been doing on this show? Dang it.
No, I'm teasing. Your gift is in the mail, Stacey.
Oh.
Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. I got a gift for you if you're in the IT business and you want to keep your skills up to date, or if you want to get into the IT business, you got to check out IT Pro TV. It's the easiest way to learn. IT Pro TV, they're actually kind of amazing. These guys have done such a good job of creating it's kind of like what we do here. They stream over the internet, but they're hardcore IT courses. For instance, I'm just looking what's coming up on December 5th on tomorrow. They're going to do courses on computer hacking forensic investigator. That's at 9:30 a.m. That's in Studio 1. Studio 2, DNS and tech skills. In Studio 3, ITIL release control validation. Don't even know what that is. They are, it's amazing. And then you can watch, and just like us, you can be in the chat room and enjoy what's going on and talk with other IT professionals. IT Pro TV has 2,000 hours of content now. They're adding more than 30 hours every week. You can stream live, as I said, or on demand. You can use your Chromecast, your Roku, your Amazon Fire TV, your Apple TV. They've got a great Apple TV app. Your PC. All sorts of courses. Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, Red Hat Linux, Lean 6. They do Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. Lean Agile Management. They have got transcripts. They have practice exams, so you can take the test before you take the test if you're looking for your certs. They have virtual machine labs, so you don't have to have a Windows Server to learn Windows Server. You can get an annual membership, and in fact, if you get the annual membership, you can download the content and watch offline. $57 a month, $570 a year, but we've got a brand new great offer for you. A 7-day free trial, 30% off for the life of your account if you go to itpro.tv/twit and use the offer code TWIT30. itpro.tv/twit. Now through the end of the year, if you purchase a premium annual membership, you'll get an additional 3 months. So you get 15 months for the price of 12. That's a good deal, but only through December 31st, 2016. Visit itpro.tv/twit. The code, again, TWIT30 for 30% off, 7 days free. Look at all the courses. Because they've been doing this now for a while, they just got everything. If you want to, we had our local constabulary, the police department, Petaluma Police Department. A detective called me and said, I'm going to be in charge of forensics at the police department. I need to learn some things. Can you help me? And I said, yeah, IT Pro TV. He took the Wireshark course. They have forensics courses. itpro.tv/twit. Use the offer code TWIT30 for 30% off. I hope he took the offer code advantage. Stacey is here. Stacey Higginbotham of StaceyOnIoT.com and the IoT podcast, and her little puppy.
Oh, I was going to say, can you hear her?
Yeah.
My family's coming back.
There is a new puppy?
It's the same puppy. It's a different puppy. You've known 2 puppies.
Wow.
This one barks a lot and is annoying.
The other one just barked a lot?
Yes.
Okay. Also here, Malik, These two used to work together, as you probably figured this out, at GigaOhm. Ohm is at ohm.co, and his interviews are at pi.co. And he's on the Twitter at Ohm. Did you get the ear pods yet, Ohm? I see you're wearing the wired headphones. You want to have the wireless?
I think I'm okay without the ear pods. It's okay.
Renee Ritchie was in studio.
No one has them, right?
Well, only reviewers. Renee was in studio. He had them, and I played with them. But those are the pre-release, right? I don't know if this is a true story or not, but somebody emailed, according to somebody, and they can't really verify that this is a real email. He passed it along to 9 to 5 Mac. Or, I'm sorry, Mac Rumors. He sent an email to Tim Cook saying, "Give us a release date. I really bought into the wireless vision you painted, Tim. Now I'm stuck waiting with my ear pods, but can't charge my 7 at the same time, which I need to do at work. Let us know if it's a month or 6 months, because if it is, I'll just buy some other wireless headphones." To which Tim Cook responded, "Thanks for your note. Sorry for the delay. We are finalizing them, and I anticipate we'll begin to ship over the next few weeks." This was November 30th.
It's such a great non-answer. It makes you feel so good.
Could be 100 weeks.
It makes you feel so good that I got the email and it's coming, but it's such a non-answer.
Yeah, but when? I don't know. But how nice that he emailed me.
Yeah. Well, Steve Jobs used to do that, right? Middle of the night emails.
Yeah.
I think
he had a bot.
Well, Tim has a posse. I mean, every major executive these days has an office of the executive that includes a bunch of people whose sole job it is to send these canned responses to email, right? I even have that. I have about 15 people who answer my email.
Whoa, you must be doing really well.
No.
What? We need to have a talk, my friend.
No, in fact, I found a new method. I ignore all emails.
It's true. He's never responded to one of mine. And I've only sent him 2 in the entire 6 months I've known him.
I should respond. I'm sorry. I found yours the other day. I was searching for something, and I saw one from you, and I said, "Oh, Stacey sent me an email 4 weeks ago." I told you that. I said it was a very nice email. I appreciate it.
It was a nice email.
I will pencil it and send it back to you.
See, if you answered more emails, you would not be sitting in the studio by yourself.
Who would have time? No, it's not it. I wouldn't have time to sit in the studio by myself. I'd be busy answering email. What do you mean by myself? You're here in virtual reality.
No. Can you smell my nice cologne?
No. What kind of cologne are you wearing?
That doesn't matter since you can't smell it.
Frankly, mainly the reason we don't have people in studios so I don't have to smell them.
Uh-huh.
I smell delicious. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or the other way around, you must be
sweating. I don't smell at all.
You must be sweating under that sweater.
No smell. I use products that have no smell.
You put the sweat in the sweater, man. Come on.
Are you wearing perfume, Stacey?
No, but I spent 3 hours cooking a beef kind of stew thing with bacon and wine and deglazing and onions. So I smell like deliciousness, but probably not.
No, you don't smell like deliciousness. You smell like old sofa cushions. You think you smell like deliciousness.
Everything in my house smells like this right now.
Yeah. When every time I barbecue, my hair gets smoked, and then I smell like that for days. I hate it.
Okay, barbecue smoke is totally different than bacon. I smell like bacon.
Bacon's pretty good.
Stacey, you and I are not getting invited back to the show.
No, I love you guys. No, if I could, in fact, I would fire everybody else, and it would just be you two every week.
Now you might get your wish.
Yeah.
You lost all your audience right now.
No, they love you. Except for that one guy who says, "Who is this Ohm guy? He seems to know nothing."
There's a lot of people like that.
They don't know how deep the Ohm River is.
Really? Is it?
Yeah, you're the Marianas Trench of tech journalists.
Okay. Can we talk about tech, please?
Hey, let's talk about net neutrality.
Please.
Yes, Stacey wants to talk about net neutrality.
I want to talk about net neutrality.
All right, so this is a good one. I really enjoyed this article. The FCC came up with the opinion that AT&T and their new DirecTV Now violates net neutrality. Because, of course, AT&T says we're not going to charge you for bandwidth you use when you watch DirecTV Now as an AT&T customer. 0 rating, right? But there's a little problem. Like, the FCC is the ultimate lame duck agency at this point. In a few weeks, January 20th, the new president will get to nominate a new chairman of the FCC. In fact, Congress has already said to the FCC, don't do anything.
Well, and the FCC is already, yes, they stopped doing
stuff. So this must be like a leftover.
Well, yes, and this is something, I mean, Tom Wheeler is banking big on net neutrality being his, actually protecting consumers' rights, which he's done a really good job of.
He is not the dingo that we thought he was.
He is not. So yeah, this is so frustrating because this is what everyone said was going to happen when we allowed 0 rating. This is not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
And, oh, look, it's happening. And AT&T and Verizon, by ignoring T-Mobile and not going after the first mover, the weakest one.
Because T-Mobile started this with their Binge On program.
Binge On and 0 rating for Spotify and some things, which everyone's like, hey, free Spotify. We're like, no,
well, this is why it's so hard. 0 rating is so hard because customers love it.
Right.
What they don't understand, and I feel like I'm preaching at them when I say this, is it's not good for you. You shouldn't. I know you're not paying anything for listening to Spotify, but the problem is the next hot, new, exciting music service is disadvantaged. You won't listen to them because they cost you bandwidth. So in effect, you're telling John Ledger and T-Mobile, you guys get to pick who the winners are. And we don't want T-Mobile to pick who the winners are. We don't want AT&T to pick who the winners are. We want the market and consumers to pick who the winners are. Did I describe that accurately?
You were so good. I'm so glad I didn't have to do that because I would have just gone on.
Part of the problem is the term net neutrality is terrible.
Yes.
And I wish we could come up with a better name. I keep thinking maybe net discrimination or bandwidth discrimination.
Network freedom.
Well, it's for freedom, but it's against discrimination.
But discrimination, they got that. They took advantage of that word because discrimination in the FCC sense now means a lot of crazy things. But on this story, so AT&T with DirecTV, that's their own service. So they're basically like, ooh, you belong to us. And that's why the FCC went after them. So with T-Mobile wasn't being as egregious.
Well, it is. It's worse. It's worse than AT&T.
It is way worse, yes.
But it's not like really worse because ultimately the whole problem is picking winners, whether it's you or somebody else. And we don't know what deals T-Mobile's making with these companies to get 0 rated. 0 rating is, by the way, another terrible phrase. These phrases are chosen to obfuscate the problem.
Mm-hmm. Because the people in their marketing departments are great. AT&T sponsored data. So with this, I'm so sad because AT&T, even if the FCC had the ability to go after them, which I don't think, given the people who are in Trump's transition team, that's going to happen. AT&T and Verizon will fight like hell to make sure this goes through. And they fight the long game. I mean, the fact that we're still talking about net neutrality.
I know.
How long, has it been since we've been doing net neutrality? Like 2008, 2009? I mean, before 2005 was the term was invented.
I've been writing about this since day one, and it's so nice to see 2 other people talk about stuff that, made my head explode.
I just signed up for the free trial of DirecTV Now, and it's supposed to be a free 7-day trial, but I wish I could show you. Maybe I've hustled through this. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is supposed to be free, and it's very confusing. Lock it in, pay $35 every month. What? No, wait a minute. Should I press the continue button or no? What am I paying for? Add to plan, but I don't. It's supposed to be free. Okay, continue. Prepay will hook you up. No, what? I'm supposed to be free. Oh, wait a minute. This is free? Prepay 3 months today. It's free, right? Credit card? I'm not giving you what the hell? So this is, by the way, just in case you think, oh no, AT&T's nice. They wouldn't screw anybody.
No one thinks that.
Oh, I can't continue without giving him a credit card.
Well, that's pretty common on free trials.
Total due today. Wait a minute. Total due today, $105. That's common on free trials?
Oh, that is not. That is not.
Total due today, $105. Wait a minute. This is time. It's time for me to make this big and to use my telestrator. Total due today, $105 due today. That's not free.
Scroll down. I want to see their T&C because AT&T has the best.
You are weird if you want to see that. Okay, well, all right.
No, because that's when they're going to tell you what you're paying for.
Compatible device and browser required. Residential customers only. Available in the U.S.
No,
only.
okay, so the free trial part.
Free trial. New subscribers only. Cancel before the end of the trial, which automatically renews monthly at the rate and effective sign-up. Minimum $35 a month. Is charged your payment method on file until you cancel. View, modify, or cancel at any time at DirecTV Now. Once canceled, you can go to DirecTV. But total due today. This is not free. $105. How did it get to that?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Your 7 free days will be added to the end of your free. Wait a minute. Your 7-day will be added to the end of your prepaid period. You'll be charged $105 today, and your regularly monthly payments of $35 a month will start on March 11th. That's not free.
Yeah, that's what they count on.
That's AT&T. I love them. There you go.
We just need your info. Give us your info. I want your info.
I fell into the same thing with the Adobe Creative Suite subscription. Exactly the same thing. I got so frustrated, I just canceled it. I'm going to go with, programs I can buy now.
Well, I wanted to try it for a week just so I could demonstrate it on tomorrow on iOS Today and all of that, but I guess not. And how do you fight customers who say, but wait a minute, it doesn't cost against my bandwidth. Isn't that a good thing? What's wrong with that?
You just have to explain. I mean, that's the thing. It's like explaining that sugar is going to rot your teeth. I mean, it's like,
yeah, but it's sugar, it's nice. But it's sweet.
Right. It's wonderful.
You believe that?
I'll go to the dentist later. By the way, somebody in the chat room just got me. He said, but Leo, they're just optimizing for profit.
Excellent. Whoever that person is.
All right.
Yes.
You win. That's their job. They're just optimizing for profit. Let's take
this is... Oh, go ahead.
We can take a little break. But let's talk some more about this because I have a feeling we're not done. But I do want to talk about a free deal that really is a free deal and is really awesome. It's from audible.com. We love audiobooks. I love audiobooks, and I've been an Audible subscriber since the year 2000. That's when I first subscribed to Audible because I had a commute from heck, 20 hours minimum of a week on the road, which meant I got to read a lot of books. It's awesome. Is that right? No. From 10 to 20 hours. On the worst days, it was a 2-hour commute each way, all the way to San Francisco. So here's the deal. If you go right now to audible.com/twit2, you could try it free for 30 days, get 2 books free, and keep them, even if you pay nothing. You'll be signing up for the Now, here's the fine print. You'll be signing up for the Platinum account. That's their subscription that gives you 2 books a month. You also get the daily digest of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. But if you cancel in the first 30 days, you'll pay nothing and the books are yours forever. So that's how this works with your 2 free books. I want you to go to audible.com and just check out all of this stuff. So many great books. Trevor Noah's newest just came out, of course, the host of The Daily Show, Born a Crime. If you're a fan of science fiction, the Peter Hamilton Fallen Dragon, which is the one we recommend you start with, 26 hours, you get that for free. I listen to a lot of rock music. Like I've got Bruce Springsteen's book on pre-order. That comes out in a week or 2. You could get that for free. There's so much great stuff on here. Mr. Robot. This is the creator, Mr. Robot. This is actually an interesting book. It's a tie-in for Mr. Robot. It's Elliot's journal. And it's written by Sam Esmail, who created the show, and Courtney Looney, who helps write it. So it's kind of the story behind season 2 and what's to come. I think this is an interesting way to do a tie-in. It's not a novelization. It's the journal. You know who else's journal is on Audible? That is just, it's going crazy. Princess Leia. Her journal.
Oh, Carrie Fisher's?
Carrie Fisher's journal. People are going crazy because Carrie blows the lid off her relationship with Harrison Ford back when they were making the movie. These are her diaries from when she was making the first Star Wars movie. And, of course, Carrie Fisher is in it. I love her. I've been hearing interviews with her, and she's just great. So
She is phenomenal.
here's the chance to get 2 books free if you go to audible.com/twit and the number 2. Audible.com/twit and the number 2. Lots of great books on here. That's the hardest part, is to pick a book. But once you do, ooh, there's a new Neil Gaiman. Oh, I love Neil Gaiman. Oh, and he reads it. Oh, boy. Actually, it's not new. It came out in May. The View from the Cheap Seats.
Oh, that's his essays.
Yeah, it's nonfiction. But listen to his voice.
Part 1. Some things I believe. I believe that in the battle between guns and ideas, ideas will eventually win.
He is the best narrator for an author I've ever heard. It's a great performance. In fact, listen to his other books, like he narrates Neverwhere, it's just so beautiful. John Quincy Adams, there's a new biography. I listen to a lot of biographies too. Anyway, pick 2 books and enjoy. Do travel writers go to hell? Maybe. This is the one I've got on my wish list. Millennium. From Religion to Revolution, How Civilization Has Changed Over 1,000 Years. Ian Mortimer is a great historian and popularizer of history, and I'm very excited about this. This is in my wish list for when I next get credits. But you could get it right now. Nice thing about Audible is you download it, and it's yours immediately. You can even stream it on a Chromebook. They have apps for the iPhone, for Android, for Windows Phone, for Windows. Just fabulous. Audible.com/twit2. We thank them for their support. And by the way, AT&T, if you want to advertise on Twit, I'll be much nicer to you. No.
I might not.
No, I won't. No. The truth is we wouldn't accept the advertising. This happens a lot, by the way. People come and say, we want to buy ads. And we'll say, well, did you hear what Leo said about you 3 shows ago? And then we never hear from them again. Let's see. Google AI reads retinas to prevent blindness in diabetics. I think Google's starting to leak out on almost a weekly basis new information from its artificial intelligence research. Just to kind of say, see what we can do now? So the latest is an AI that can detect and identify and diagnose diabetic retinopathy, which is a big cause of blindness among adults, using deep learning. So it looks at retinal photos, normal and abnormal, learns what abnormal looks like, and now can classify it. Pretty cool.
We're going to see a lot more of that.
It's just the beginning, I think, isn't it?
I mean, there's the Parkinson's test for how your voice sounds. There's I feel like there's one for macular degeneration, or maybe it's cataracts.
Cataracts for sure. Yeah.
So I love it. I think it does bring up some interesting, like, how soon would you tell someone if you see that they're in this group? It's kind of like the I don't know how to, BRCA testing.
Oh, yeah. The breast cancer gene.
So we're not there yet, but it brings up all these interesting, like,
if the test is accurate, or even 90% accurate, I think you have to tell them.
So what if it's 90% accurate? You tell them, but now this person has to go find a doctor. They have
to decide if they want a double mastectomy because they're at high risk for breast cancer.
Oh, we're talking about breast cancer.
Is that what? Is that the BRCA? What is the BRCA gene?
It is. Sorry, I was thinking about something like retinal. I cannot say the words.
Think, take a step back and just say, how are we going to train people to think about medicine, which has been so far prescriptive, not preventative?
Right.
I think that's the bigger challenge we have.
Right.
From a social standpoint, it's how do we make people, healthcare system, and all these other issues, including, how we pay for medicine and medical care, to come to terms with the predictive nature of our technologies as they go forward. And I think that is, again, part of my whole conversation about technologies having empathy, is understanding that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right? It might be good for people who can afford to go and get, treatment. Right. And what if you don't have any ability to, pay for treatment? Are you sentenced to death in that sense? And how do you live with something like that? And I think the ethics around these issues are pretty, important to discuss and talk about. And I think most technology companies need to start doing that, especially Google. In my opinion, they need to take some time along these issues.
Yes, and even if it's not a death sentence per se, if your phone says, hey, you might have Parkinson's and you don't have insurance or you can't afford a doctor's appointment, just even getting a sense even getting an okay there becomes to see if you're okay is expensive and prohibitive. Or it usually takes, I know to go into my doctor, it takes me sometimes, my neurologist has a 6-week waiting list, right? And so thinking about living with your phone saying you might have something wrong with you for a long period of time. Even a doctor doesn't call you on the phone and tell you negative test results usually. They make you come in and they give you a lot of information. I don't know. It just, I can see this going very bad, very poorly.
Leo, what do you think?
Well, I think there's two different issues. There's the I love what you said, which is it is completely rethinking how we think about medicine. Although there's always been preventative medicine, and the best medical treatment is kind of holistic and proactive as opposed to treating an illness, right? And I think many, even some enlightened health insurers, particularly HMOs, are starting to think that way, although the economics of health insurance, it turns out, discourage that. Paul Krugman, in his book, The Conscience of a Liberal, talks about the fact that health insurers don't think long-term because people move around a lot. So they don't like to insure proactive diagnostics because you're going to find a problem that they're not going to have to pay for in many cases. So why pay for the proactive treatment if they're not going to have to pay for the reactive treatment when you get the heart attack? So that's why modern health insurance isn't doing a very good job in terms of that. But I think medicine in general and doctors understand the real value of kind of finding problems before they occur and treating for them. That's nothing new, is it? On the other hand, we do have, and this is that's a really good example of, we were talking about income inequality. You could talk about that in many ways besides just money, and that's a very good example of an inequality that's created by information and then the ability to do something about it.
I think the information is a lot, now the inequality is based on data and information, and some people will have more information if you can afford it, right? You, just like me, I'm asking you how to secure my computer systems and my phones when there are poor people whose phones are being hijacked by malware. So I think the disparity in the society is also starting to reflect in our technology products in that way as well.
Well, I do hope that we get better at, I'm all for genetic testing and things like that. I mean, there's an ethical issue, but I don't, this BRCA2 is a good example where, and it's used primarily because the response
is so
dramatic,
drastic.
Right?
Right.
And so if it were merely, well, you should start taking vitamin C, you would go, yeah, well, whatever, I'm going to do that. But if it's a double mastectomy, that's so dramatic that then, well, now we got a question about whether we should diagnose that or not.
I mean, these are tough issues to deal with.
Yes. And technology puts us in the position of having to deal with them, but only humans can deal with it. I mean, these are ethical issues.
Yeah.
Well, and technology will help us refine things and make it better too. So the more data we have from patients, and we have the compute capability to analyze this in a way that we've never had before, and in a way to do it really cheaply and quickly. So it's possible we'll get to a point where soon we can be like, oh, you have BRCA1 and you have this other crazy gene up here. And in 88% of the cases, we have this, that merits a double mastectomy.
Yeah.
So I want us to be cautious, and I want us to think about how because we don't often talk about this, but how do you deliver that data? What are the next steps because that's where technology falls short. We don't think about anything beyond like, we can do this. And we need to think beyond that. And with genetic testing, it becomes really scary. With health testing, it has the potential to be incredibly accurate, but also incredibly disruptive if you tell someone that, and we don't have data sharing and privacy mechanisms in place really for this either. Okay.
Well, this happened. All this technology stuff is happening so fast that it's taking a lot longer for human institutions to adjust. I mean, that's just really the kind of the story in a nutshell of the last few years, and it will be the story of the next decade and maybe forever. Technology moves faster than our human institutions can adjust to it. And there's lots of disruption as a result of it. And we're in easily the most disruptive era in humanity right now.
I feel like we have a less sympathetic and a less reflective culture too right now. As we have a very consumeristic culture, there's a lot of people who don't think about, to circle back to Ohm, they're not thinking about the repercussions of what they do. And I would
argue the opposite.
Okay.
I think human history, if you look at it, is pretty bleak and pretty grim. I just finished a book, 300 Years of Romanov Tsars. Those people were nasty. And they really subjugated millions of Russian people in the most horrible way possible. And I think the fact that we even have these discussions is a massive improvement over years gone by. I admit we're not perfect. We got a long way to go, but I think that we're maybe more perfect than we've ever been. I know. I mean, look, I'm the one who's always saying, the sleazy side of the internet and dystopia and all that stuff. But really, from a historical perspective, don't you think we're better off than we've ever been before?
I think we take for granted, because we're not physically beating people or taking them out like Stalin did and shooting them, that we're in a better place.
Well, I think that's a step forward.
That is true. I'm not going to argue that. But I think the understanding of what people can do with your data and how you can subjugate people through pricing, through access to information, through all of it's so much more subtle, but it's still a problem. It's still a problem.
Oh, I agree. But I mean, look at, for instance, women's rights. It's far from perfect. Women still are mistreated in some parts of the globe horribly. But I think
you mean North America.
Yeah, in North America. But I think there's progress has been made. You could even say globally. Admittedly, there are some places where it's not very good, but at all. But globally, there has been progress. I think which is not to say we shouldn't work on being better. We got a long way to go. But it's also to say we shouldn't say it's so terrible. I mean, we are making progress. We have to acknowledge we're making progress. I think we're generally, maybe I'm wrong. Are we not generally making progress in the world? It's not evenly distributed, I understand.
I would say that we are acknowledging things that happen better, but
well, that's a step.
Oh, but we have so far to go. I mean,
we're not
if
perfect.
You want to talk, I'm like, yes.
We got a long way to go. I admit that. We got a long way to go. But we're, in race relations, we got a long way to go. We don't have slaves anymore, at least in the U.S.
We have more than a long way to go. No, actually, no. I'm sorry.
It's better than it was, though, right?
It is not.
Okay. See,
I'm going to
trying
say
to cheer
no because
Omo.
one out of every 4 women are sexually assaulted.
I know.
And
I know. It's terrible. That's
it's
not acceptable.
And we still have to deal. I mean, we are not property anymore. We have the right to vote, some of us. But no. And I'm not going to accept that. I can accept that there's progress, but I can't accept that we should stop. And it feels like your argument here is that
No. We got a long way to go. We shouldn't stop.
And I'm just talking, I mean, not just women, but technology and looking at and asking these questions, because I feel like we really aren't asking these questions.
Right.
And we have to.
Good.
Because otherwise, what are we we're going to live in like Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake world, or
right.
God help us, something even worse.
Right. All right. I will stand corrected. We got some more news, acquisitions, sales, and goodbye to a company that did changed technology in many ways, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, a word for the holidays. You see all these decorations. You know what that means? Don't go to the post office, whatever you do. That's what it means to me. I don't know about you. The lines are long. There's people with boxes on boxes on boxes. You're going to go there to buy stamps. You're crazy. Why do that when you could do everything you do at the post office online from the comfort and convenience of your own non-crowded desk at Stamps.com? Stamps.com is how we do mailing. If you are in maybe you sell on Etsy or eBay, or maybe you send out invoices, maybe you send out brochures. If you do mailing of any kind, professionalize your operation with Stamps.com. It'll save you money. It'll save you time. It'll save you the hassle of going to the post office in the holiday season. Open a Stamps.com account with our special offer, and you'll also get some goodies. Go to Stamps.com, click the microphone, and enter the offer code TWIT. You're going to get a digital scale. You have to pay postage on that, which is $5, but to make up for it, they give you a $5 supply kit. And just because they're nice people, $55 in free postage. Yeah. Now, you can't use it all at once. You have to spread it out, but believe me, that's a big savings. And, of course, a month to try Stamps.com. You plug the digital scale into the USB port on your computer. You log into your account. Now you can print postage at the top of the page with your computer, your printer. You don't need a postage meter. You can print on plain paper. You can literally print it on the envelope. It'll print the return address. It'll print your company logo. They have little stickers that make it stamps, like print stamps out. You can print on the package label. You place your package, your letter on the scale. It'll suggest how to save money. It'll say, well, that looks like that'd be good for media mail. Is it a book? Yes. Oh, well, we'll save you some money on that. It tells you all the options, including certified mail, shows you the cost for each. You pick the one that's right for you. You print the label to your printer, you attach it to your package, and then you don't even get up to mail it. The postman comes to you. Get the exact postage the instant you need it. You don't overpay. Have you ever done that? Put extra stamps on because you don't know how much it weighs, or heaven forfend, put too little postage on, then the recipient has to pay postage due. Ooh. And Stamps.com has special discounts you can't get at the post office. They fill out the paperwork for you. If you've got, international mailing, they do it all right from the website. They can pick up your address book from a lot of different websites or from the common applications you use on your computer. I can go on and on, really, but you got to try this. It's free for the next 4 weeks. If you go to Stamps.com, click the microphone, use the promo code TWIT, and you'll also get all those other benefits. It's great. I love it. We use it. Stamps.com. We had a very good week this week on TWIT. Lots of fun talking about tech, and here's a little mini movie showing you some of the things you might have missed. Watch.
Previously on TWIT.
And then down low for art, so sort of like all business up high and a party down low.
It's the mullet of personal computers, yeah. Business on the top and party on the back.
Android App Arena.
In case you haven't heard by now, virtual reality is apparently the next big thing. Or at least that's what a lot of people in the tech industry think. Personally, I'm pretty hyped about VR. So then let's dive into a few great VR puzzle games for Daydream in this week's roundup.
Windows Weekly.
And you probably noticed that I have something rather massive sitting in front of me.
Look at that.
New iPad Pro. Oh, wait.
You know, it's so funny. This is the Surface Studio, which came on Monday. It's hard not to love this.
Security Now.
You hacked all data encrypted. So that was the message on the San Francisco Muni. As a consequence of this hack, which actually was apparently a cryptoware attack, gave passengers free rides all day Saturday because the entire fare processing system was down.
Twit. Broadcasting from the capital of the free world, Petaluma, California.
A great week ahead. Megan Maroney, what's coming up?
Thanks, Leo. Here's a look at just a few of the stories we'll be watching in the week ahead. Google Wi-Fi ships this week on December 5th. It's a $130 mesh router that Jason is getting to blanket his house with Wi-Fi because we all want that, really. The Oculus Touch motion controllers also ship this week on December 6th, and you will be able to get your hands on, get your hands on 50 different games and apps that work with Oculus Touch in the Oculus Store. And this is Computer Science Education Week, which means it's time again for the Hour of Code. That's the time that anyone all over the world can use the Hour of Code tutorials to help anybody from age 4 to 104 learn to code. Among the many events, Apple will host Hour of Code workshops in nearly all of its stores from December 5th to December 11th. TechCrunch Disrupt is happening in London, so we're bound to hear a smattering of startup news. And finally, according to Wikipedia, December 5th is Day of the Ninja. You are hereby encouraged to dress like a ninja, engage in ninja-related activities, and spread ninja information online. This, of course, serves as a virtual counterpoint to Talk Like a Pirate Day. Jason Howell and I will cover all of this and a whole lot more all week on Tech News Today, each and every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. That is a look at the week ahead. Back to you, Leo.
Thank you, Megan. Catch Megan and Jason Monday through Friday on Tech News Today at 4 p.m. Pacific. 7 p.m. Eastern, 2400 UTC. And Megan will be with us tomorrow for iOS Today. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're talking tech. Stacey's here. Stacey Higginbotham from Twig. She's on This Week in Google every Wednesday, the IoT podcast with Kevin Toffel. She's at GigaStacey on Twitter. Malik is here, the legend at ohm.co and p.co. Or should I say pi.co?
Pi.co.
Yeah, thank you. pi.co. So
What was
Pebble.
to say?
Yeah, p.co is a different site. That's a sad thing to see Pebble, which was the most successful Kickstarter of its time. They raised $10 million in 2012 for the Pebble watch. They were asking for $100,000. Then they came back to the well. They asked for $500,000 for the Pebble Time, snagged $20 million. It's an amazing success story, and at one point, they were offered, what was it, $740 million?
Yeah, I think it was 750 maybe.
And they turned it down. And then a little later on, somebody came along and offered them, $70 million. They turned it down. Now Fitbit is apparently acquiring Pebble, and it's thought to be for somewhere around $40 million, a lot less. In fact, one of the reasons it's so less is Pebble has a huge amount of debt. The Pebble, this is from, of course, Jessica Lesson and Reed Albergati at The Information. The Pebble brand will be phased out after the deal. Fitbit gets Pebble's intellectual property, its operating system. And it's kind of a sad end to a real high flyer. What happened?
You want to opine?
Because we are investors in Fitbit, I will politely recuse myself.
Well, that was very polite.
That was lovely.
How about you, Stacey? Are you an investor in Fitbit?
I am not an investor. I did, you know what? I did order a Pebble off of a Kickstarter.
I ordered the first one and the second one. I did both of them.
I had the first one and I did the Pebble Core, which still hasn't shipped. So I'm like, but it's not supposed to ship till January.
I don't think you're getting it.
Shh. Hush your mouth. Hush your mouth.
I don't think you're getting it. I gave my Pebble Time away. It was nice. The problem is the category is, I think smartwatches are not. At the same time as that happened, Motorola said, yeah, we're not going to make another Moto 360, the Android Wear watch. I like that one. That was the round one. I'm wearing one right now. It's ironic because I often say, well, Apple Watch is kind of a flop too, but Apple Watch sells pretty well. In fact, Renee Ritchie said, you're a hypocrite. No, he didn't say that, but he pointed out that Apple Watch has outsold the Amazon Echo by 300%. And we all say the Echo is the next big thing, and the Apple Watch is a flop.
I have never said the Apple Watch is a flop.
I say it.
I was going to say that it feels like it would be terrible to be a startup. It would be terrible to be a CEO of a startup in Silicon Valley because, this idea that you can change the world with hardware is right now just so hot. And it feels like just dumb. I mean, even Fitbit, when they went public, everyone was like, and look at GoPro with, you've got this product. People don't replace it all the time. Yeah. It's not
GoPro, there's another example. Yeah, they had a terrible quarter.
Oh, they laid off, 200 people?
15%.
15%?
They lost millions of dollars. And frankly, is that because of competition? Is it because we don't need a GoPro because I got a smartphone?
No, it's because you can buy a GoPro and it lasts for a long time and you don't need multiple. I mean, it's a good product. Yeah. Poor thing, and
somebody said GoPro is a media company. That really their success was the GoPro YouTube channel and the GoPro Extreme videos. And they really should have saw themselves as a media company, not as a hardware company.
That sounds like something Ohm would say.
Did you say that? He's looking really nice now with the dark background and the lighting. I like as the sun has gone down in San Francisco. You're looking better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
You look so good in the dark, Ohm.
Just don't show your face.
Casey Neistat, who created a very successful YouTube channel, 5.8 million subscribers, and an app that was a high flyer at first, 1 million downloads, but then really didn't go anywhere, called Beme, has been acquired by CNN. Actually, I mean, you can't acquire a person these days. So they acquired Beme, but he came along with it, I guess.
Acquihire.
Acquihire. I really think he's a talented guy, and it's interesting. CNN showing that that they need to somehow figure out a strategy in the new world.
So you think buying this company and getting him is going to be their strategy?
Historically, that's never worked, has it?
That's not a great strategy, but okay.
It's better than nothing. What else are you going to do if you're CNN? What do you do?
I report.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's the other thing they did. Snapchat channels. Hey, anybody going to run out and buy some Snapchat spectacles?
If the vending machine lands in Austin, I would buy them.
I would get in line. Christina Warren.
I stood in the line in New York.
You did?
Unfortunately, it was just so long. I said, you know what? I don't need it that badly.
Christina Warren wrote a very funny piece about how dirty she felt waiting in line for 5 hours for the Snapchat spectacles. Probably the same line you did. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I didn't see her.
The hellscape of waiting 5 hours in line for spectacles. And she starts it with the best lead ever, which I can't read out loud because it's profane. I am such an a-hole. This is the only conclusion I could come to after waiting 5 hours in line for 2 pairs of Snap Inc.'s new spectacles, sunglasses with a camera attached in New York City on Thursday. Did you wait on Thursday? Was it this recently?
Yeah, last week.
That's it. So maybe you saw Christina in line there.
That was the worst idea ever for me.
It was a pop-up store on Fifth Avenue. It was right down the street. You're getting tired. We're going to go to bed soon. Don't worry.
Wait.
It's on Fifth Avenue. It's just down the street from Trump Tower.
Ugh.
That wasn't political at all.
No, I'm just thinking gosh, you got to contend with tech nerds and hipsters and Secret Service and
Christina writes, a lot of tech reporters braved the line last week, but honestly, I couldn't be bothered. Quote, there's no way I'm going to wait in line for some hours in line for some stupid glasses is something I may have actually said out loud. But I am a liar and an a-hole. In spite of my own thoughts about the spectacle of spectacles, when I found myself near the pop-up on Thursday, I couldn't help but try my luck.
No, I went the week before, and it was a massive line, and yeah, I couldn't do it.
I can't. You know what? I have to read the whole damn article to find out if she ever got any. I guess she did.
She said she got 2 pairs.
Finally, at 9:52, I was next. The minion-like vending machine itself is actually pretty cool, as you can preview what the glasses will look like on your face, then select your color, swipe your credit card, grab your stuff, and go. At 9:55, I finally emerged from the store with 2 pairs of spectacles. Oh, my God. Would you wear those in public?
No. I think it's good that they're, like, utterly ridiculous. Although I'm sure people will wear them in public and take pictures, and they're better than Google Glass. So
it's the IKEA effect, right? Hasn't somebody observed that because you assembled with great pain your own furniture, you love it more? If you wait 5 hours in line for spectacles, you're going to love them.
Oh, that's like paying $200 for the airport router.
Yeah.
You're going to justify the hell out of it.
Joanna Stern says, wearing a camera is cool and creepy.
She did a great article, actually, talking about the rules of or the social contract that we should have around these things.
Yeah.
So I like those. A friend of mine got those, and I thought they were pretty fun.
Can you only you send to Snapchat from these?
Yeah, your own account. That's it.
I think that's good. And you can't save the video. Oh, you must be able to, because I've seen people.
Yeah, you can save your Snapchat stories.
Yeah. So she says, here's the rules. The camera wearer's code she's proposing. We will record fun out-of-the-box experiences. First-person video is the new selfie. By the way, I saw an ad this morning on NFL football encouraging you to use Facebook Live. Facebook's dying for you to use Facebook Live, apparently.
They're paying so much money to the NFL. So
millions of dollars to get you to stream Facebook Live.
And yet nobody wants to use it.
Maybe these spectacles. We will record face-to-face interactions with permission. We will record interesting places without annoying our peers. It doesn't have to be your peers. It could be your betters or your lessers. Doesn't have to be your peers. We will not record in private areas. No sneaking into the bathroom, the locker room, the courthouse. Well, airport security. Right. You have the right to record airport security. I think you should.
I am definitely pretty sure all those things she's talking about are going to happen.
Pretty sure they are.
All of them.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I remember. Oh, I was going to say, Ohm has. Remember when you had the narrative camera?
Yeah.
And it was a little camera that.
Yeah,
it took.
You wear it around.
I hated what people would walk up to you with that thing on them, and I loathed it. I hated the idea
because it goes everywhere with you, and it takes a picture every 30 seconds, even in the gym locker room.
No, I just didn't like talking to Ohm with like the little camera.
By the way, Ohm, I notice you're not wearing it now. Is it because, like me, those pictures were terrible?
Because the company is no longer in business.
Is Narrative gone?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They changed their name, didn't they? And then they went out of business.
There was always pictures of people's belly and stuff. I mean, it's like it was. It's not a good angle.
There were issues.
There were issues.
But we fixed most of them. I was an investor in that.
Oh, sorry. You can recuse yourself then.
No, I just you're hating on it. Please go free. Feel free.
I got it. I bought it.
I was hating on it for the permissionless photographing of people. Like
you just had to take it off and put it on the stuff on the table, and it would stop recording, I think.
So I didn't know they went out. November 1st, they're going to keep running the service, but they're transferring the operations to a new company. Did somebody buy them? Or
I don't know.
We're happy and proud to make as our very first announcement that the narrative service will not shut down today. That's not a good start. She also says these are the final 2 rules. We will not share footage if people don't want it to be shared. She says, I did it. I recorded a video of my sister sleeping and drooling. The glasses were on. It was so easy to press the button. I thought it was funny. She didn't. Not even with a sleep emoji and pretty filter I added in the Snapchat app. Oh, now I want a pair. I want to take pictures of people sleeping and drooling. We will not record everything we do. Don't record everything. Be selective. Fair enough. All right, your dog says it's time to go.
Hey, before you go, what was the name of that VPN service you were, the key?
tinyhardwarefirewall.com.
tiny hardware firewall. Are you sure these are good people?
Are they Russian?
They're from Washington, D.C. How bad could they be?
Oh. Okay. I want to make sure. I mean, Wi-Fi consulting.
You know what? You can make your own. All you need is, I mean, this is some Chinese company makes these, and then they put software on them. The idea, here's why I like it, because you can run a VPN. You can run VPN software. You don't need to do anything particular, but I like it for two reasons. One, it's automatic. Everything you do on the internet goes through this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's a impermeable barrier against the outside world. Two, if you want, you could, not with the little thumb drive one, but with this, you can turn off Wi-Fi on your computer. And that we know is even if you're not, you know, tied to an access point, if you're just sitting there, is a attack surface. So it's a good rule of hygiene to not have Wi-Fi on in public. Like if you were going to DEF CON, the big hacker conference, you wouldn't even bring your own phone and computer. But if you did, you'd turn off Wi-Fi for sure, and Bluetooth. So, no, this company that does these has been around forever. I can't remember.
PC Mag likes it.
Yeah. Oh, I love them, and I've been using them, and I trust them. And they're a Washington D.C. based company. I wish I could remember their name. That's been doing this kind of thing for a long time.
Wi-Fi Consulting Inc.
That's it. Wi-Fi Consulting Inc. That's them.
I'm on the page. I'm about to buy it. That's all
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you.
So there's, I would get the one that has Ethernet built in, because that way you can really protect yourself. But I have to say, I always carry the little thumb drive in my briefcase in my pocket because it's so easy to use. And they're not expensive, and they include they used to, I think they still do, yeah. They're $91, but you get they include a year of VPN service. Or you could just buy the hardware if you want. $30 for the thumb drive, $35 for the one with Ethernet ports. So they're very inexpensive.
Oh, well, they're saying it depends on your connectivity, but it says with the VPN active, it maxes out at 8 to 10 megabits per second.
Well, that's true of any, this is always an issue. With VPNs and Tor, the more stuff you put in between you and the outside world, the slower it's going to be. But in my experience, I've used VPNs in a variety of situations. This is the least slowdown I've experienced. 8 megabits is good. You're not going to stream Netflix on this thing. You shouldn't.
Okay. So the Ethernet one runs at 92 megabits per second with the VPN off. According to this, it's
not the device that's slowing you down. It's the virtual private network. It's going through all these servers. It's routing your traffic through servers. It slows you down.
I'm going to buy the new tiny Napoleon.
Get the little Napoleon. It's so cute.
It's so cute.
It's so cute.
It's just like a Napoleon.
All right. I love you, Om. I wish you would come by my house and just, I don't know, play with my router. I don't know, anything. Just visit.
Oh, wow. Is that an invitation?
It's an invitation. Come visit my hub. Om Malik, you can visit him, om.co. That's his website. pi.co, pi.co is where he does great interviews, really good stuff. I'm glad you're still doing some journalism. And, of course, he's an investor and pretty much beloved among everybody in Silicon Valley. There's no one has a bad thing ever to say about Om Malik. So that's why we like having you on. Thank you.
Except for that guy in the...
Oh, he doesn't know anything. He's some guy. Just some guy. Look, there's nobody in the world who could come on this show and at least one person in the chat room would say, oh, he's not all that. That's just what they do. I know.
So good.
You know what? This is the thing. If you open yourself to public comment, don't be surprised when the public comments.
Exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah. And everybody's got an opinion, and, that's the way life is. That's fine. Stacey, everybody loves Stacey. I've never heard one bad word said about Stacey Higginbotham, except that it's hard to say her name. IoTpodcast.com, @GigaStacey, and all of that. And we'll see you Wednesday. You're going to be on Twig Wednesday?
I am.
Yay. We missed you last week. We missed you last week. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We do Twit every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2300 UTC. If you want to watch live, be in the chat room, irc.twit.tv. We have rules. It's not that we don't have rules, but we also encourage people to talk. You can talk. Talk amongst yourselves. We got rules. Okay. No hate speech. No ad hominem attacks. No Latin. But other than that,
all good.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you, Leo.
Right. Thank you, Om. Thank you, Stacey.
Bye, Stacey.
Bye, Leo. Bye, y'all. Thanks.
If you want to join us in studio, and we had a great studio audience, very nice to have you all from all over the place. From Texas to Maine. From Cincinnati to Hawaii. All over. And New York, too. If you want to be in the studio with us, just email tickets at twit.tv. We'll put a chair out for you. And, of course, you can get every show on demand after the fact at our website, twit.tv, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe. That way you won't miss an episode. It's always interesting. It's always different. We have different panelists every week because I love having the different vibe every week. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can.
This is amazing.